If you're new to my channel, I just want to let you know that I'm 98% country. When I was a little girl back in the 60s, we lived for a very short time near Rockefeller Center. Since then, my main reason to go to the city was just to visit friends. My love and affinity for New York City is always eased by the fact that I can come back home to the mountains. What you're about to see here is my first trip to New York City in 2 years. So whether you love it or hate it, sit back and enjoy the ride and learn a little bit of history too on the way. On May 14, 2022, my good friend Billy and I headed to New York City for the Deadly Art of Survival event in Chinatown. But before I get to the actual video of the event, which will be a part 2 in this series, I wanted to show everybody what I see on my way down to the city. When you have this to come back to, the city isn't so bad. This is my hometown of Fort Montgomery along US Route 9W heading south towards Bear Mountain. We're heading over the Popolopan Bridge, which has a fantastic view of not only Billy, but the Bear Mountain Bridge and the Hudson River. And the mountain over there is Anthony's Nose. And now we're heading on to the Palisades Interstate Parkway, which was completed in 1958. A lot of local guys worked on this. My dad did some work on the northern end. It's a beautiful parkway. They're gonna zap you from above. We're all still getting used to these new toll booths.
Oh, I don't mind because I have the app that
I just miss...
I immediately pay it.
I mean, they were usually in a really bad mood because people use them over there, but...
I thought that's been going up for you. No, maybe not.
No, I don't know. I can't remember. I was down here 2 years ago.
Now I gotta make sure. Oh, look at that. Is that looking so cool?
That's really a beautiful building. And look, the window's open. That's unusual. In a New York City building anymore? I don't think the windows have opened since the 60s.
Oh, they redid this.
Yeah. Oh, they were working on this back when the call was coming down to Columbia.
Oh my gosh, look at the traffic.
Working on free. Well, it's 12:30
That's right.
in the afternoon. Of course, everybody's up and out.
Okay, this is its own lane. Okay, I gotta make sure I get in the right lane.
You're going down the West Side Highway, right?
Yeah.
Stay right here. You're good. It's one of my favorite bridges on the Hudson.
I walked here. I walked this.
I remember when you were doing all the bridge walking.
Yeah, it was so cool. This is really a short bridge to walk.
It is. It's not a... It's a narrow part of the river. I was trying to get shots of the skyline here for you, but we're a little bit low in this car. The George Washington Bridge, I think, is one of the most handsome bridges on the Hudson River. It's a double-decker suspension, and it connects the New York City borough of Manhattan to the New Jersey borough of Fort Lee. The bridge, of course, is named after George Washington, the first president of the United States, and is the world's busiest motor vehicle bridge, carrying over 103 million vehicles in 2016. It's owned by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, a bi-state government agency that operates infrastructure in the Port of New York and New Jersey. The George Washington Bridge is informally known as the GW Bridge, the GWB, the GW, and the George. Less commonly known as the Fort Lee Bridge or Hudson River Bridge. It measures 4,760 feet long and has a main span of 3,500 feet. It was the longest main bridge span in the world from its opening in 1931 until the Golden Gate Bridge was opened in 1937. That's a beautiful one. Oh, there's an old Rav. That thing's got to be over 10 years old.
I don't want to trade my 80 because I want to stop paying $252 a month.
I know. Oh, that hurt. Good thing you got new tires.
I only have 89,000 miles.
Yeah. Woo.
I'll keep this for another 5-6 years.
No reason why you shouldn't.
Salam alaikum, walaikum salam.
How come he's not at the Jiffy Mart?
Who?
That guy. Back there.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so... I gotta be in the medium lane, medium.
They're still not done with this down here. This has been going on since Nicole was alive. Left. This is the point where I always have a tough decision. Do I stay my course on 9A and get to where I want to go, or go enjoy Riverside? You're good. Downtown. I miss getting off in the river. Whoa, man, that hurt. Thank God for new tires.
Yes.
I used to love, every once in a while, especially if I came down here alone, getting off on Riverside. Yeah, well, that's it. If you have the time, Riverside is a great drive. But that's what I was just going to say. Sometimes I would just take Riverside for the hell of it, because it's just so freaking pretty. Mrs. Maisel.
Marvelous Mrs. Maisel.
That's where she lived, Riverside. In the show, she lived in Riverside. Upper West Side gal. Riverside Drive is a scenic north-to-south thoroughfare in the Manhattan borough. The boulevard runs on the Upper West Side of Manhattan, generally parallel with the Hudson River from 72nd Street to near the George Washington Bridge at about 181st Street. North of 96th Street, Riverside Drive is a wide divided boulevard, and at several locations a serpentine local street diverges from the main road, providing access to the residential buildings. Some of the city's most coveted addresses are located on this route. The West Side Highway is a pretty road. I could cut over to the FDR, but if you've ever been on it, well, you kind of know why I avoid it. I'm not going to embellish too much. But everything that you'd ever want to see, or any place that you'd ever want to visit in New York City, is a very easy left off the West Side Highway. And no trip to the city would be complete for me without seeing the Intrepid, which is always on the right side in the Hudson River. The West Side Highway is also a very easy way back home, back up into the mountains. There's the Trump development.
Does it still say Trump?
I don't know. Trump Place, New York, New York. In 1984, Donald J. Trump bought the West Side Rail Yards, which later became Trump Place. Eventually, Trump built 16 high-rise luxury residential buildings. This West Side Highway large-scale development was heralded as one of the biggest projects ever undertaken in New York City.
It's a classic.
From Navy radar operator in 1964, Larry Flynt rose to fame with the very first dancing hostess hustler clubs. Oh, look what's on there, the Stealth.
Oh, cool.
That is really neat. They got a lot of different planes moved around up there.
That's a Stealth right there?
Yep.
Wow.
That's a Lockheed A-12 supersonic reconnaissance plane, the same thing as a Stealth. A very common sight in New York City. It could be a news helicopter or it could be a tour. What you see in the center to the lower right there is called the Vessel. It's a public square garden. A centerpiece in the Hudson Yards, it's actually a spiral staircase. This area is Hell's Kitchen, also known as the Meatpacking District. This area boasts the High Line, which was once an elevated railroad that brought food to lower Manhattan. From mid-1900s to 2019, it went from a thriving business to a standing eyesore. Today, the High Line is a continuous 1.45-mile-long greenway featuring 500-plus species of plants and trees. If you get a chance, check it out. It is beautiful. Chelsea Piers, where New York City goes when it rains. Manhattan's most popular destination to learn, practice, play, and compete in 25-plus different sports. Chelsea Piers offers instructional programs and sports leagues for youths and adults. If the city's getting to be a little bit too much for you, remember what I said about coming home. This is what I have to look forward to. In the center of your screen, straight ahead, is the Freedom Tower. We'll get some closer looks very soon. The Freedom Tower, One World Trade Center. Also known as One World Trade, 1WTC. This is the main building of the rebuilt World Trade Center complex in Lower Manhattan. The tallest building in the Western Hemisphere and the 7th tallest in the world. This super tall structure has the same name as the North Tower of the original World Trade Center, which was destroyed on September 11, 2001. This bridge walkway you see survived September 11th. And now we're down in the belly of the Battery. This is originally where the West Side Highway was first constructed, and where it's considered to begin. The building on the lower right here is 1 Bowling Green, New York, New York. It is the National Museum of the American Indian. This museum is part of the Smithsonian Institution. It features contemporary and historical exhibits of art and artifacts by and about Native Americans. Their collection here is absolutely astounding, and if you ever find yourself in New York City and get a chance, please visit this museum. You will not be disappointed. There's a book called The Historic Shops and Restaurants of New York. I'm not sure if this is one, but it looks like an older building. Nonetheless, it's lunch.
I don't know what to tell you, pal. Your horn isn't going to get anybody to go quicker.
It's like he heard you. Dumbass. Typical New York City. That's why I love coming down here, because I can escape back to the mountains. You can kind of hear the same thing there, but not quite as loud and dirty and smelly. So that's it for now, until the next installment of the video where I'll show you the demonstrations at the event. Thanks for watching.